Ahoy Captain and welcome to the tool tutorial of the EU ETS Quickscan. This video will show you how the web tool and the Excel sheet work, give you some pointers and guidance in order for you to make all the EU ETS calculations you can possibly desire. It's intended for our members and those who have purchased the tool itself, but if you're simply looking to browse or want to see what you will actually get when buying the tool or becoming a member, feel free to skip ahead to the fun part. On that note, first some non-fun disclaimers from our side. The tool itself is an estimate. Be mindful, it's not voyage based, it's year based, so it's an estimate to see how EU ETS will impact your ship type or fleet in general. So always make sure to check with your verifier if the rules that we assume also apply to you. It's also not based on ship type. Of course, we include all the EU ETS regulations per ship type as we have seen how they are interpreted generally, but of course some deviations might exist. Who knows, especially in terms of ice class or other specifics, it could be different for your ship. So always, again, check with your verifier. And finally, it is subject to change. You'll see that maybe the version that you have will be different from what we are showing you, hopefully for the better, but also there be mindful, and not just the tool itself, but also the regulations will change. Luckily, we have an answer for that. We always have the help desk available for you. So if you're in doubt with regards to your ship type, the tool itself, doesn't matter, feel free to contact the help desk to make your life easier. We are here to assist you and help you to sustainalize your ship. With that being said, and without further ado, let's dive into the EU ETS tool. And here's the beauty. We're now working in version 1.05 at the moment of making the tutorial. And you can find it, of course, at our rules regulations section. Scroll down, you should be able to find it under regulations. Still some work in progress there, but the tool itself is finished. So I'll first show you what you can see here before we dive into the specifics. So here we have the EU ETS costs rising as the amount of allowances to be paid is increased over the years. You can also add fuel costs if you like in order to compare the two together. Right now we're just going to stick to only EU ETS. The amount of ships you can change here. The reporting year specifics, that's down below, that you can have a look at the specifics for each reporting year, and of course adjusting the EU ETS price or the EU allowance price. It's the same, we sort of intermix them as well. So, but here you can change them and see how they will impact, of course, linearly your prices. And the totals are included for the entire fleet here below. So what can we do furthermore apart from just adding EU ETS? Firstly, you can change ship type. We assume certain characteristics based on that ship type, and of course you can change your GT. In some cases that will also affect EU ETS applicability. You can change the fuels here, as you can see. We can also use other kinds of blend fuels. We can change the amount of fuel per year. Basically, we just input the vessel parameters, fleet characteristics that we have here, and out comes the entire EU ETS characteristics. As you can see, for a combination carrier below 5000 GT, EU ETS in this case should not apply. Well, that's something, of course, that you need to double check. Below we can change fuel parameters. Here you can see which different kinds of emission factors we have included, and also the fuel price. Very important, of course, to make a proper estimate for your totals. And here you can see the equivalent emission factor that we have accounted for. Also for all the other kinds of fuels. And in the Excel, that is the premium version, you can change all different kinds of parameters. And here we have the yearly overview. As you can see, maybe we need to zoom out a little. There you go. Here we also provide the yearly overviews of whether or not a ship type or for a ship type it applies. And that's why here EU ETS in let's see, 2024 should be a 0 for this ship type, but then if we go to 2027, there it is included. So that's how the front end of this tool works. This is easy peasy, gives you a very quick estimate of all the costs, etc. Let's dive into the Excel sheet and let's show you how the calculations work and how you can incorporate it in your very own calculations. Here's the Excel version. This is the backend. This is what you get or can download freely when you're a member or when you purchase it. I'm gonna skip the instructions because basically that's what we're showing you here. First, the overview. This is, I wouldn't say where the magic happens, but most of the magic. Here are the input values, especially global warming potential values. We're using IPCC latest versions, but have a look. There's always some debate on these values. The amount of ships that we incorporate, as you can see, if we change it to 6, then here these formulas simply multiply by 0 if you have less vessels. We're going to stick to 5. The reporting year itself, for which it is calculated, as we have seen, and also the EU ETS price. And as you can see here at the top, we use name managers, named ranges. So have a look and see what we use in terms of name ranges. And if you're not familiar with this system, feel free to reach out using the help desk. But basically, this gives us quick access to those parameters that remain the same. For example, EU ETS price, that's here, that's 65. So we, instead of referencing to this cell, we simply reference or multiply with EU ETS price per metric ton. We could also have set EUA, might have been better. So basically what we do here is we add a true and false. There's no logic behind that one. So we basically say here multiply with EU ETS, and in here is the logic. So if you scroll down, there you see that all the calculations themselves, they check if the ship type and GT, for the ship type and GT the EU ETS applies, but we'll show that later on. And we can also input ship type here, GT, different kinds of main fuels, etc, etc. So everything in gray are input values that you can change, and everything else is output values. Our output values, and here you can see the output for the different years, the totals, and the same applies here. So this is basically all that you should need to use in order to get the results that you want. There's not much in terms of complicated formulas here. The only thing that we can mention is, of course, that we do use a hidden number here. Let me show you. That's basically saying if we have the number of ships below the number that we indicate, then we simply multiply by 0. But that's only to have you to make your life a bit easier, in the sense that this is all multiplied with zeros and the totals that are simply summed are correct. Again, contact us if you need any help. So this is not very complicated. The calculations tab, which I will show you later, that's most complicated, I'd say, in here. Not even that complicated, mostly it's just a lot of information. So it's taking us as well a lot of time to go through it. But let's first go to EU ETS rules, because this is also an important one, because here you can see the different EU ETS aspects, ship type, GT, which kind of emissions are incorporated, and the phase-in, which we have included in our calculations. So these are the tables that we use to check, okay, does the combination carrier of a certain, or does a ship type of a certain type apply? Yes or no. Does the GT apply for those ship types? Yes or no. And then of course we have emissions. So here again, these things are changing. I wouldn't say constantly, but maybe yearly by yearly. So if you're seeing this, make sure to always check with your verifier. And if you update the true or falses here, that's also reflected in the calculations tab. So let's have a look. So again here, and I'm going to zoom out a bit. Everything in white, that's taken from input or overview in this case, so you should not have to change anything here. Basically what we do is we just simply look up here fuel prices in the fuel table, of course which types of fuels you have used, the amount of fuel, and then again the prices. And for each year and each ship we have a look at whether or not it applies. So here you can see all the different logics that we use in order to check if it applies, and then furthermore the emission factor when it applies, the amount of emissions, and we do this for both the main and the auxiliary or blend fuel. Sometimes we call it auxiliary, sometimes we call it blend. In this case we call it blend because we intended to make it such that you can see when would it be more cost effective to blend and when would it be more cost effective to simply pay the EU ETS price. And this is done for each year consecutively, as you can see. So each year we have a look, does EU ETS apply, yes or no? And then we simply determine the costs for EU ETS. For each year we simply multiply the amount of emissions, of course with the EU ETS price, as you can see here. Those are in metric tons. And then we get a certain amount of costs involved. The same applies to fuel, but only of course if you include the fuel. If that's false, then it's excluded, and then we get a yearly total. So again, this is a lot, but I wouldn't say very complicated, but most complicated here would be the VLOOKUP and match functions maybe that we use, and where we look all the information up, which is also important, is here in the fuel table. So here we have included a fuel price, which is important for you also to change if you want to compare cost effectiveness of blending, the different emission factors where applicable, slippage as well, especially for LNG. That's something to look out for. It can be less, can be more, as you can see. We usually take into account conservative values. And then the resulting CO2 equivalent emission factors for the different years. So again, be mindful and always double check with your verifier. I'm guessing, I'm pretty sure, especially over time, changes will, well, we know changes will occur, usually not too much. In terms of changes, I'd say things like LNG slippage, how they account for it, the global warming potential, when different kinds of emissions are incorporated. Those are the things to look out for. Generally, the CO2 emission factor, that won't change much, I'm expecting. At any time, you can see here at references, you can download the EU ETS guide and get some more information as well on what we have used and the reference material in order to perform these calculations. So let me quickly show you. This guide should already provide you with a lot of reference material, pictures, indications, how we calculate all the different EU ETS emission factors. Also, let's see, that's also in chapter 2. There you go. You can also see the web tool, what we've used, everything else with the reference material. And this is simply to also show you some thought has gone into it, but also to not just double check us, but see if it concurs with the latest information that you have. This version is being updated regularly, so you can also check to see if it applies to your current state of viewing this video or reading the reference material. And there's one more thing we can show you that gives you some more additional information, and that is our regulator AI. So if you go to sustainable ships, go to tools, regulations, regulator, you go to the regulator, that's our AI, and this is being updated constantly. And here you can basically ask any question and you'll get information about EU ETS as well, including the reference material, the guide you can download, etc. And that's it for our tool tutorial, and hopefully also all the information that you need in order to make cost effectiveness decisions on EU ETS. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, feel free to contact the help desk at any time to make your life easier. We're here to help. We're here to help you sustainalize, so make use of it, please. Thanks for watching this video and have a great day.